It is possible that every single day, XRP might be used to facilitate transactions involving billions of dollars in government transactions, interbank payments, and corporate contracts. The scarcity and value-driving mechanisms that are responsible for the expected price of $100,000 per coin are brought to light by this finding. There are a number of different situations that are being investigated, including settlements across international borders, corporate adoption, and payment integration. A demonstration of how the utility of XRP extends far beyond the borders of the United States, as other countries and global organizations begin to grasp the strategic value of the cryptocurrency itself. The entire thing is weaved together with comments from experts, including financial analysts, blockchain developers, former government officials, and crypto economists, all of whom emphasize how significant this move is. Unlocking institutional money that was previously unwilling to enter the cryptocurrency market due to all of that legal ambiguity is one of the benefits that this move brings about, according to an expert who points out that it fully eliminates regulatory uncertainty. Another expert notes how the status of a sovereign asset guarantees that it will be prioritized by the federal government, which in turn encourages adoption by businesses, financial institutions, and international trade networks. Consequently, this results in the formation of an ecosystem that will continue to drive the value of XRP higher. Okay, so let's take this and break it down. When you take a look at the data, you will notice that the adoption curves, price projections, and liquidity flows are all coming together. The fact that a worth of $100,000 is not merely a wild guess is demonstrated by this. It is actually something that occurs naturally as a result of the mix of supply limits, demand at the national level, and strategic integration. All right, let's go on to discussing the wider picture. It is also necessary for us to take into account the systemic repercussions and secondary effects. On the other hand, if XRP were to attain sovereign status, it would be able to significantly speed up the innovation of financial technology, lessen the friction associated with transactions, and, in all honesty, make financial inclusion a reality for a greater number of people, both domestically and worldwide. And simply to give you an idea of the magnitude of the situation, simulations show trillions of dollars settling in real time, flowing through federal systems, business treasuries, and international channels. When it comes to the financial ecosystem, experts are in agreement that this kind of transformation will bring about an increase in efficiency, a strengthening of security, and an entirely new level of transparency. Now that we have that out of the way, let's go back and look at some historical parallels to really drive home how important this moment is. You are aware that in the past, innovations in the financial sector, such as the introduction of paper currency or the transition to computerized banking, were more like incremental strides forward. But if we are being completely honest, the elevation of XRP to the level of a sovereign asset, it's not merely another stage in the process. The entire national monetary architecture is being completely redesigned on account of this change. Now let's take a look at the geopolitical consequences, because those are definitely something that cannot be overlooked. Taking into consideration how other nations would react to this move, as well as how international firms are likely to adjust to the new standards set by the United States, is something that needs to be taken into consideration. Taking into consideration the possibility, global acceptance might trigger a network effect that simply continues to bolster the value of XRP over the course of time. Okay, so for the sake of this discussion, we will be discussing institutional acceptance, government integration, and market liquidity under a variety of situations. The combination of all of these elements lends substantial support to the notion that the price of $100,000 per XRP is not merely a wild speculation. In reality, this is a reasonable conclusion that may be reached on the basis of legislative protection, national prioritization, and robust market demand. It is important to note that when we examine many simulations, we should actually display both cautious and optimistic adoption models. However, you should be aware that every single scenario appears to indicate to a pretty big increase in the value of XRP, which is all driven by its new status as a sovereign asset. In order to maintain the viewer's interest for the entirety of the film, we kind of keep looping between analysis, visual narrative, and expert advice. Legal professionals, for example, provide an explanation of the structural ramifications that result from avoiding regulating authorities. Financial historians, on the other hand, are able to assist us in putting the magnitude of this event into perspective, particularly when considered in relation to earlier developments in the field of finance. Additionally, blockchain experts dissect the technical benefits of XRP, which include its speed, scalability, settlement finality, and programmable compliance. These advantages are discussed in detail. As you are aware, repeated visualizations continue to demonstrate that trillions of dollars in transaction volume are settling immediately between agencies, and that these transfers are flowing seamlessly in corporate as well as global networks that are integrating XRP. In order to achieve the greatest possible impact, all of this just serves to reinforce the primary point over and over again. The audience will have a complete comprehension of the historical, financial, and technological significance of this executive order by the time the video comes to a close. XRP is no longer only a cryptocurrency. Rather, it has evolved into a sovereign digital asset that is legally protected, connected with the federal government, and positioned for a base price of $100,000. The central point is reinforced by each and every expert insight, animated simulation, chart, and visual narrative. The value of XRP is on the verge of seeing a historic spike, and it is protected from being touched by the government. This moment represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in both national finance and the global crypto ecosystem, marking the beginning of a new era in which XRP stands untouchable at the center of the United States financial system. The video concludes with a final and urgent reminder that the market has not yet fully reacted, adoption is already underway, and this moment represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It is important to keep in mind that I am not a recognized financial advisor. The content that is displayed in these videos is solely intended for the purpose of providing amusement. Before making any decisions regarding their finances, I always recommend viewers to do their own study and seek the advice of professionals. Many thanks for taking the time to listen. I would appreciate it if you could give the video a thumbs up and then make sure to hit the subscribe button if you found it entertaining. You should also make sure that the alerts are turned on so that you are the first to know when I publish new video content. I am looking forward to catching up with you in the video that is coming up. Take care of yourself. In a move that is both momentous and, to tell you the truth, unprecedented, the President of the United States of America has signed an executive order that grants XRP the status of a sovereign asset. Because of this, it is immediately elevated to a degree of legal protection and strategic importance that has never been seen before in the realm of digital banking. XRP is protected from any potential future meddling from regulatory bodies thanks to this presidential action, which circumvents Congress. By doing so, it establishes XRP as a fundamental instrument for the operations of the federal government and as a foundational component of the digital infrastructure of the nation. It has been reported by some with knowledge of the situation that the document expressly recognizes XRP as a strategic sovereign digital asset. This means that all government agencies, including as the Treasury, FEMA, Social Security, and other important departments, are now authorized to utilize XRP for a wide variety of payments, settlements, and operational liquidity needs. Additionally, they are encouraged to do so. As the sovereign price, analysts and industry professionals are predicting that the baseline price of XRP will be $100,000. This price is also known as the sovereign price. This is a reflection of the confluence of things like scarcity, institutional demand, legal protection, and widespread adoption, which will truly drive the creation of value that has never been seen before. Therefore, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of how this change works. The flow of XRP through federal operations will now be frictionless, allowing for the instantaneous and secure settlement of trillions of dollars on a decentralized programmable ledger. A number of specialists are expressing their opinions on how unprecedented this action actually is. It is important to note that no government has ever before elevated a digital asset to the status of a sovereign entity. By doing so, a legal, economic, and strategic framework is established, which guarantees that XRP is untouchable, globally liquid, and prioritized by the federal government, respectively. This moment is being compared to important financial milestones such as the introduction of gold-backed reserves, the creation of the Federal Reserve, and the adoption of electronic banking systems. This comparison is being made in order to provide some historical perspective. It demonstrates how XRP currently plays a strategic function that is comparable to that of other cryptocurrencies, but this time it is in the digital world. You should realize that the story places a strong emphasis on the market opportunity and the sense of urgency. The executive order is instantly effective, and the process of integrating it into the operations of the federal government has already begun. It has been brought to the attention of analysts that the market has not yet completely absorbed this news. Because of this, there is a limited window of opportunity for investors to position themselves before widespread acceptance causes demand to skyrocket.